You have half an hour, Mr. Agnew.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, Ms. Willis, Mr. Reinhardt. On February 4th of this year, we had a 17-year-old girl and we had an 18-year-old boy. And what they wanted was to be an adult. They wanted to be grown up. What they found out very quick after that is sometimes it's best not to get what you want, because they realized that they weren't prepared to be adults at that point. One of the things I want y'all to do when you go back there and you go over all the text messages and Instagram messages and all those messages is look, I'm not saying that it was right, but they hated her. They absolutely hated her, and they hated living with her. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to say that she was a bad person. I don't mean that at all. She's obviously a good person. She took in her 17-year-old, much younger than that, daughter. But Tara obviously had to have some problems in her family to end up having to live with Grandma. And Grandma was gracious enough to take her in. And she ends up being repaid in a horrible fashion. But the thing is they thought that they were ready to be adults. And if you read the messages, they had a lot of hatred towards her. And they sort of fed each other. They fed the monster, and they went after her. But if you also look at their messages, and you look at the videos, they had access to all that stuff before this ever happened. And they did. They had access to the guns. Why else would there be a gun behind the couch? It wasn't in the safe. It was out. They had access to the codes. And they could say, well, it was on a piece of paper, you know, in a dresser or whatever, but they had access to that. They did from the word go. There's a text, if you'll remember, or an Instagram message where they refer to, you know, about basically the fact that, you know, Grandma hasn't tried to tighten up the money thing yet. That she was still being very free with them with the money. I'm not asking y'all to find my client not guilty. I mean, I'm not asking you to do that at all. What I'm asking you to do is look at the facts. And I understand where they're coming from with the robbery and all that other stuff, but they actually did have access to all that stuff. They did all along. And they didn't kill her to take her stuff. And they didn't. The reason they killed her is because they were, in all honesty, they were incredibly naive. And they were also, if you remember, they were also using meth. And that has a tendency of doing very bad things to your brain. It's not an excuse, but it does bad things to your brain. But they weren't killing her to rob her. They were killing her because they wanted to be adults. And think in terms of what Tara said when they were talking about, because they were talking about killing her. There's messages all over the place. You know, y'all saw them, I saw them. They were all there. But what did Tara say was one of the things that she wanted to take with her? Her stuffed animals. She wanted to take her stuffed animals. What did she not take with her? Her stuffed animals. She realized very quickly, as they both did, they were not prepared for this life. They couldn't drive. They didn't have jobs. They had nowhere to live. They had to depend on other people to come get them. They depend on other people to get rid of stuff. They made a decision that not only ended one life, but effectively ended three, because they were not prepared for the situation that they put themselves into. And no matter what y'all do, their lives are over. And it's by their own hands. I'm not going to try and excuse that. Their lives are over. It's just going to be a matter of how. How over are their lives? And that's the decision that y'all have to make when you get back there. Like I said, you're talking about an 18-year-old kid. He was less than a month being 18 years old. And he made the absolute worst decision he could possibly make. And I'm not trying to excuse him. And I'm telling you that right now. I'm not asking you to find him not guilty at all. What I'm asking you to do is to go back there and find him guilty of murder. Because like I said, from the word go, They had access to all this stuff. I mean, Grandma's 62 years old. I'm sure she ran a pretty loose ship as a parent because that's not a grandma's job. Grandma's there to be fun. They're supposed to be fun. That's why most everybody loves their grandmothers. And moms are supposed to be a little bit more stern. And she had to go from being grandma to mom at an older age than I think most people want to do that. And Tara didn't like it, and Uriah didn't like it. Not saying that what they did was right. It's not right at all. What they did was horrible. But I think at this point, when you look at it, to say that they killed her to take her stuff is wrong. They killed her because they wanted to be adults. They wanted to be on their own. And immediately learned they weren't prepared for it. And they weren't. They learned real fast. Sometimes it's best not to get what you wish for. And the thing is they're going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I know this has been a really, really long week. And I apologize to y'all for that. This has been a long week for all of us. I appreciate every single bit of attention that y'all have given to all of us during this process. And I mean that in all sincerity. But when you go back there, I'm asking you to please find him guilty of murder and not the capital murder. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your verdict.
Ms. Willis, you have 26 minutes remaining.
Yes, Your Honor. May I utilize the override?
Yes.
They killed her because they wanted to be adults. If she comes in, I'll kill her. Can I kill her at 4? I have an inch of hundreds. I'm going to kill her. On and on and on and on and on. Mr. Agnew just said that they killed her because they wanted to be adults. They didn't kill her to rob her. Don't take my word for it. Take Uriah's. I go in, threaten to get any and every phone. He did that. Tell her to move, grab the key ring out of her room, tell her to open everything I haven't. We know those safes are open. He's admitting he'd already opened some. Kill her when done, get someone to drive the Ford. They killed her, and they got a ride.